Okay, folks, I have 7:00 p.m. I'm going to give it just another 30 seconds or so, just in case we have anybody late and joining in. Hey, there's John. Okay, thank you all for coming out tonight. This is going to be our second water information meeting, looking at the proposed Water District 7, which is in the southeast quadrant of the town. After the water portion of the meeting is done tonight, we're going to go on and do our yearly organizational meeting. You're more than welcome to stick around, but don't feel like you're being rude if you don't want to sit through that. But we will start with the water, since I know that's why most of you are here. We have John Hinman from MRB Group. One of our engineers is going to be issuing the presentation tonight. And then after the presentation, we will open the floor for comments, questions, or whatever anyone would like to say and present to the board. Real quick, I would just say that, you know, being that we're on this Zoom meeting tonight, we need to be very careful that we're taking turns. You know, cross-talking makes it so that we can't even hear what's going on. So we'll do our best to take turns, and it's, you know, when it's time for questions and I open the floor, feel free to jump in. And, you know, if two people talk at once, just, you know, somebody politely yield and everyone will get a chance to speak, I promise you. Furthermore, I just want to make note that I'm available anytime on my cell phone, or if you wanted to mail written comment, we would make sure that that was read aloud at an open forum and recorded for posterity in the minutes. So with that, I'm going to start the Pledge of Allegiance here. Let me just share my screen to the flag. Okay. Can you see the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, John, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, can everybody hear me now? Looks like I'm unmuted.
I can hear you.
All right, very good. Well, I do appreciate the opportunity to come before everyone tonight. I thank the town of Pavilion for this opportunity and all the assistance that you've offered up and getting this moving forward. So again, this is the town of Pavilion, Water District number 7, presentation number 2, January 5th, 2021. Happy New Year, everybody. All right. Again, I'd like to acknowledge the town supervisor and all the board members, along with the town clerk, and the special appreciation for the town assessor helping out the supervisor with a lot of these different EDU counts and getting through each parcel, making sure everyone's accounted for. Again, my name is Jonathan Hinman. I'm a project manager on the project. I'm one of the town engineers that help out the town with different situations, and other people that are helping us out with different items are the Monroe County Water Authority, Steve Savage and Todd Ferguson, who assist us with a lot of the hydraulic data information. They are the authority over all things water related in the township regarding maintenance and things of that sort. So the purpose of tonight's meeting is basically to review the work that has been completed to date, which is essentially the engineer's report. Also going through the district map and the logistics of that, review the scope of the project itself, take a look at what the total project costs are for the installation of the water main, but also the cost to the residents themselves. I'll take the steps that are going to be taken in order to keep this project on schedule. receive some comments and see if we can make sure everything's answered and all concerns are addressed. And just at the end, hopefully, if there's the ability to do so, determine who might have interest in moving forward with this project. Goals and objectives. To provide affordable public water service to the residents. A lot of times we're hearing is that people have a difficulty with either their water, the quality of their water, and how much they have to spend to keep that water potable, and also the quantity of that water. A lot of times we have wells drying up and people have a difficulty running the appliances and the items that they need in order to live their lives. We'd also want to try through this report and application to get loans and grants to maximize that available money out there to lower the total cost to the residents of the township, of the district, and just try to make sure we take a long-term plan providing that steady water source. Great benefit of having public water is you have very consistent water supply and a heavy source of water, and it's a nice thing to have and to not have to worry about running out of. Water district formation. How is the water district formed? There's two main ways of going about forming the district. One is by a petition, and the other is by having your local leaders vote to move forward with that through under the Article 12A town law. For this particular project, we have discussed moving forward with a petition process. Preliminary study will be initiated by the town board. We've evaluated the service area. We kind of looked at the entire area and how we could maximize reaching out to the most residents to serve through this district. We went through alternatives in the planning process with the town supervisor and the boards and really figured out a good feasible project area. And based upon all that planning and the last few years that we've been taking a look at this particular area here, and also based upon recent data that we've received from other projects that we've bid in the area, we put together a preliminary cost estimate, which we've provided in the engineer's report and we'll discuss further on this presentation. The essential process for forming this district. The board was approached by a number of residents and discussed wanting and had a need for water. The town then turned to the engineer and said, we need to have this studied and look into further. So we prepared a map, plan, and report. As I said, we assessed what the costs are to bring water to the areas that we determined were the most viable. And once this portion is done and we've decided we're going to go and we'll vote on this, a petition will be passed around to the homeowners within the district. Following that, we will be putting in an application to see what kind of funding sources are out there and to see if the town, if this district alone will qualify for any type of funding, loan or grant or combination. We will add that into the existing engineer's report to report back to the public for a legal public hearing. We're waiting basically to determine a guaranteed amount of funding or grant money. Once the legal public hearing has been held, that application will go to the comptroller's office for final district approval. Just a quick background on this project and the town itself here. The water system throughout the township is maintained and operated by a retail lease agreement that the town entered into with the Monroe County Water Authority. Water main breaks, quality of water, anything, any type of water outage or anything like that, the Water Authority would be out there and in a second with their massive crews to take care of anything that might be occurring in the township. They're out there quite commonly just to make sure that everything is operating properly. We also take a look at how much water most homes use. Typically when you're on a well, you're using far less than what we find is the average, but we have found over the years a good average number to use, as most homes will end up using about 60,000 gallons per year. The town has asked MRB Group to look into potential grants and loan sources, and we are actively doing so. One in particular is the USDA Rural Development, who is also assisting us with the current project over on York Road, which is housing the water storage tank that will provide all the pressure to the area for this district and any possible future water districts over in this corner of town. Some quick details on the project here. Approximately 22,350 linear feet of water main. They'll have an additional 41 services that will connect to that water main and be run from the water main to what's called the right-of-way, which is essentially the limits of the town lines between the house and the roadway there. Along the project, we'll be installing fire hydrants in accordance with 10 state standards and the health department regulations, approximately 600 feet apart. And we place them at times into near intersections just for the most appropriate usage and protection of the homes. Again, water services will be brought from that water main I spoke of to the right-of-way. Most of your improvements, the water main will be installed in the public right-of-way whenever possible. It's rare that we need to go outside that unless we encounter some sort of larger obstruction in the ground, culvert, rocks, poles that we simply can't get around. And in that instance, we may need to request a temporary easement for construction purposes or a permanent easement to place the water main. Quick overview of the project itself. We'll be running water from the county line along New York State Route 36 all the way up to the connection point near the school there. We'll be running it south along Perry Road from the York Road intersection. From Perry Road along York Road, there is a section of water main currently being installed, but that area will be served by water services through this district. And then continuing towards the Livingston County line, we'll also be running north on South Street up to the existing water line to create a loop in the system there. And then heading south on South Street as well, down to the Genesee line. We also are including a portion, 3 homes on Peoria Road, to include them in the district. Again, we talked about how MRV Group has been directed to start looking for grants and applying for them. New York State, I'm going to skip down to the bottom 2, New York State Office of Community Renewal and the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund are sources that we have been able to go to in the past with the recent COVID difficulties. Those sources have fairly dried up and have been fairly restrictive and are very competitive. The main grant that we are looking into is the USDA Rural Development. They are the greatest source of funds right now. It's a federal program and one that we've worked with quite a bit here. Currently, this district appears to qualify for that type of grant up to 45% of the total cost, along with low interest rates that are possibly available. And we will be actively submitting to see if we can get that for this district. What do those loans look like? As I said, the drinking water funds right now, there's really not a lot out there, but for rural development, currently those rates are fairly low. Some of the lowest I think we've ever seen, around 2 to 2.5%. And those loans are for 38 years. We're number for a loan, but that's how they offer it. So we'll take it. Helps lower those rates. And then the only other option really is municipal bonds. But I think our best bet at this moment is to apply for that low interest rate. So how is this project paid for? Essentially, we take the total project cost and we divide it amongst the EDUs, the equivalent dwelling units, amongst the district there. Typically, a single-family home is going to be charged as 1 EDU. Two-family home is going to be 2 EDUs, and et cetera. You can go on from there. But there are occasionally commercial properties that may use more than what is considered the average, which typically use for the math purposes roughly around 60,000 gallons per year. Or you may have larger farms that have a larger amount of usage that might get charged as 2 EDUs as determined from the town. And then there are occasionally vacant buildable lots. Those are considered a half EDU. If you are in a agricultural district, typically that cannot be charged as any EDU. That's a 0 EDU for farmland. Landlocked parcels also are considered 0 units. As I just stated, if the land is a part of an agricultural district, it is not charged as an EDU. However, there is an exception with if you have a house in a 1 acre that is not connected to public water, you can get charged 1 EDU for that. The first year, once the system is, if the district itself is voted upon and we move forward with the project, we will begin construction plans, went along, put the whole project out to bid. Once the contractor installs that water main into the ground, it's tested, it's approved by the health department, by the engineer, and we get that water main into service. Then the homeowners are allowed to make connection to that water line. If they sign up with the Monroe County Water Authority and say, yes, we want that service at that time, you will then start incurring some costs that are not associated with the water main itself. You'll have a responsibility on your side of what I called the right of way earlier. So from the water main to the right of way, the contract will install a water service and a valve right at the end there at your property line with the road. Your responsibilities will begin there. You'll have to install a water service from that valve to your house. We average 100 linear feet, roughly $1,500 to install that water service. A little more if your house is further away, a little less if it's closer. You'll have some internal plumbing changes that will be necessary. You'll have a sign-up fee with the Monroe County Water Authority and some other associated fees. Also added to that, but that's the one-time out-of-pocket expense. Also associated with that first year, you'll have the debt service to the system, and that's approximately $870.87. Additionally, in that first year, you're also going to have to pay your water usage. Currently, based upon a 60,000 gallon per year average in the Monroe County Water Authority base charge, that'll be approximately $320.40. You can pay less than that if you use less water. You pay more if you use more water. Genesee County also has a charge that they charge to the township for basically transmission main, getting the water from the source to the township where it goes into the tank. That fee is approximately $72 a year, again, based upon that 60,000 gallon average. Because we are proposing to use PVC pipe, we will need to have a reserve account put in place. Monroe County Water Authority requires ductile iron pipe be installed for all water main. The problem with that is it's a very expensive material to install, and therefore using PVC is allowed if the township pays for any possible repairs that are necessary. In order to get the most affordable cost to the residents with the highest performance, it's recommended that we move forward with a reserve account as opposed to putting in ductile iron pipe, simply for cost savings and to keep the price down for the residents. In addition, this district will be served off the new water tank, and in order to help keep that reserve account active and in case everything has to be restored, paid for, replaced again, we are putting into that fund a $20 service charge per year as a co-debt service to that system. Total cost for the first year is estimated at $3,243.27. Again, that is assuming we get the intermediate grant funding and financing from rural development. After that first year, everything goes down from there. You're only going to be paying the debt service to the district. As I said earlier, was $870.87, and your water usage and associated fees throughout that year. Your water purchased, your Genesee County charge, and reserve accounts for your PVC and for the debt service to the tank. All in all, paying $1,303.27 annually. Again, that will go down if you use less water, go up if you use a little bit more water than that $60,000 or 60,000 gallon per year average. Not that there are a lot of vacant parcels that are going to be billable in this district, but if there is one that we have within the district that would not be charged as a full EDU, as it is a buildable lot and has access to the water through rural development rules and regulations, that would be charged a half EDU. Obviously, we would have no charge for the water purchased because there would be no house there, and no base charges or associated charges to the use of that water line. So as I stated earlier, that associated costs that are from the water service valves at the right-of-way, these are the associated homeowner's responsibility. Rob, if you want to move forward on that one.
Oh, that's all I have to do.
There we go. The homeowner is responsible to install that water service from that property right-of-way line back to the house. As part of a rule, typically when a home gets onto public water, you want to disconnect your existing well, there will be a well abandonment that will need to take place, and any associated internal plumbing changes to go from the public water into your house. There are Monroe County Water Authority metering fees and initial account fees. Um, and if your home is excessively far from the road because the water authority needs to meter how much water you use, there will have to be a meter tile installed. It's a small, not catch basin, but a small little meter pit that will house the meter near the road edge. And then also purchase water and comply with the Monroe County Water Authority requirements there. Can you keep your well? It is a very common question that's asked almost every single one of these meetings that I go to. And the question is, well, yes, it's just there's a cost associated with because the health department heavily regulates the water supply. They do not want any type of cross contamination. So they go at great lengths to make sure that that stays separated. That way no well system can potentially feed back into the potable water system that's owned by the township. So option one, well abandonment. The homeowner is responsible for the costs associated with that. You disconnect your well from your house, and then you're solely on the public water supply. That is by far the preferred option. But again, if you have a purpose and you really want to keep your well for whatever reason, that is your choice. If the water authority has a one-time fee for an easement so that they can access the property and ensure that they can inspect that that line is not connected to your interconnected to the house system that is also connected to the public water supply. And then they have an $80 inspection fee every 5 years to ensure that that has taken place. The last option is also to install what's called a backflow prevention device, essentially making so that no pressure from your house can backfeed into the public supply. That's a slightly more expensive option, considering you do have to hire a licensed engineer, a New York State licensed engineer, and that's a bit costly. So ultimately, those are the options that can take place, but ultimately you can keep your well if you do want to. Just note that there are added costs to that. The role of Monroe County Water Authority. They will provide technical assistance throughout the project, especially with signing up and obtaining your water service to your home. They will supply the water that meets and exceeds the state and federal standards. Water Authority water, I've been on it my entire life, and it is good water. I love being on that public water system. They will operate and maintain the water supply, distribution system. They will coordinate any water service. If, for instance, say the water main goes in, we go forward with the project, but you do not want to get your water service when this project is taking place. That's your prerogative to stay on your well until someday maybe you decide you want to have that water. At that time, you'd contact the water authority and they would come out and install that water service for you. If you sign up with the water authority during the project or before the project, that service will be installed at the cost of the district, and the contractor installing the water main will install that water service to your right-of-way line. They will also assist with setting up new accounts and assist with all billing. So let's go over a few advantages of the water system. Again, as I stated earlier, it's very consistent quality and quantity. You will have fire protection throughout the area. A lot of times, a lot of different insurance companies will offer a lower interest rate. We've seen it as good as 15%, low as 5%. Typically, just help people notify your insurance company that you have fire hydrants in the area and now have fire protection for your home. It's a wonderful benefit to have of that water system. It will increase property values without automatically increasing assessment. People ask this question a lot: is this going to cost me more in my taxes? Simply put, no, not off the bat. What it does is it causes your house to have more worth because it has more protection. It's got more consistent water. You don't have to pay for the upkeep of an individual system that goes off of a well. And over time, as houses sell for more because this has increased their value, it may raise the assessments as everything gets sold and resold throughout the area. But off the bat, no, it will not just cause your assessment to go up. It does just enhance your marketability of your property in the future, and it certainly is a lot less worry of your water supply. And as I said earlier, it will eliminate the costs associated with your private wells. Some people have great success with their wells and don't have to do much of anything, but a lot of times there's a lot of people that struggle greatly and invest a lot of money in trying to keep their well systems operational. So let's go through a quick timeline of this water system. Petitions will be circulated, and then a public hearing will be held. Again, that's going to be ongoing soon here, especially once we hear back from rural development to see if this project can be funded. That after that is all held, the project will go over to the comptrollers for application, and following all that, we're going to finally secure that final grant and loan funding. 4 to 6 months that would take, and then after that period, we begin the contract plans and specifications. Approximately 3 or 4 months. Plans are not always the longest part. It's most of the time it is the approvals going through the DEC, the health department, rural development, just making sure everything is taken care of and is done properly. Takes a little bit of time, so 3 or 4 to 6 months. And then the bidding. We'll put the project out to public bid to get the most affordable costs, and put that out and award it. That's approximately 1 month to bid it and then approve it. It will take another month, so 2 months there total. And based upon the size of this project, we approximately believe it would take 4 to 6 months to finish the construction and restore the area back to fully grown grass and hopefully looking like we've never been there. And just only difference will be that you have water. So questions and answers. I'm going to go through a few things before I take any questions here. If I don't want water, will I have to pay for it? Again, very common question. You don't have to pay for the water. If you don't hook up to the system, you don't have to pay for the water, but you will pay for the debt service of the district. There's no way of getting around that, but you obviously can choose not to hook up to the system and won't pay for any of those fees associated with that system, just the debt service itself. And you will have the benefit of having the fire hydrant and fire protection near your home. Again, as I said earlier, will the project alone raise my assessment? No, it will not change your assessment. Your tax bill, the water will be billed separately on that tax bill line, but your assessment will not automatically go up. If you don't hook up immediately, can you hook up later? As I said earlier, when the contractor comes through, installs the water main, they will install the line from the water main over to where your house is. If you sign up with the water authority at that time, that will occur at the cost of the district. If you do not pay it at that time and have it installed then, you have to wait a few years. At that time, you have to pay the water authority. Typically, that fee is roughly $2,400 to run that service across the road. That's kind of one of their standard fees. But if you do wait, that fee you'll have to pay at a later date on your own. If you do it at the time that the water system's installed, it'll be covered in the cost of the project. That's part of the estimate that we had prepared. Will you get a vote in the water district? Since this district is being formed by a legal petition, yeah, you will get a vote. As petitions go around, you can vote or not vote in favor of this project. So that will be able to be your voice in this process. Obviously, you can always contact the supervisor with comments or any of the board members. I'm certainly glad to take any questions at this time. That is not my dog, but it is my boss's dog, so he loves to put that in presentations. So either way, if there are any questions, I would be glad to address them. And I'll turn it back over to the supervisor to kind of direct things as are needed. But again, I do thank you for having me on tonight and the opportunity to present this to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. That was very well done, and I appreciate it very much, sir. So at this point in time, I'd like to just open the floor to anyone who has comments, questions, concerns, or otherwise. You may feel free to unmute your microphone. If you're having technical problems, you can wave your hands in front of the camera and then we can try to troubleshoot. Does anybody have anything that they would like to say for the record?
This is George Jinks.
Hi, George.
I've an opinion. I am rather annoyed that you're going forward with this project at this point in time, where it's very difficult to organize significant opposition to this, and seeing face-to-face contact is difficult. I don't know how many people in this district are ready to come use Zoom and participate in these events. I have to admit, it gives me a bad feeling about the board for going forward with this at this point in time. And I don't think there can be a fair hearing of this. Can you explain why we're going forward with this point in time, other than we're desperate to get the laterals on the York Road portion of this?
Well, the reason that we're going forward is that we have, you know, many residents in this area of the town that are desperate for new water service. And unfortunately, you know, we can't afford it, as far as they're concerned, to wait, you know, a year plus until we get back to some sort of new normal, which is why everybody in the district that had property that would be included in the debt service received a mailer by mail with my cell phone number in it, as well as the town mailing address and, you know, the links to this Zoom stuff. So if anyone is capable of making a phone call, they're capable of calling. I did receive one phone call that I announced for the record at the last meeting, and that was by Doug Elliott, who said he was against the service for his house and for his mother's house next door. So that went on the record. That is the only call that I've received in opposition to. And George, I completely understand what you're saying, and I agree with it. Unfortunately, there's nothing that any of us can do about it. And if we're going to honor the need of the many residents in the area that really desperately want and need this water, we just have to do the best we can, which is why I've gone out of my way to make my contact information available, and why I go out of my way to try to be polite enough so that nobody feels that they need to be nervous about talking about it. You know, I regardless of what your opinion is, everybody's opinion needs to be heard, and I'll do everything that I can to make sure that everyone's opinion is heard politely and happily. So that's the best that we can do right now, George.
Okay, one more question. Now, you've included somewhere between 6 and 8 lateral restricted properties, agricultural properties in this district. What effect does that have on?
You mean laterally restricted according to Ag and Markets law because of Ag District? Well, you're muted, George.
Inappropriate subdivision of agricultural property.
My understanding of the lateral restriction is that if you have an existing home, an existing structure, that when a water district goes in, that is available for hookup. After the water district is in place, any parcel that is in the Ag District will not be able to get water because that is an illegal lateral hookup. Furthermore, after the water district goes into place, the smart map for the county states that, you know, a new home being built would not be able to get water hookup unless there was a petition to the board. And if that property is in an Ag district, then they don't get water.
I will say also, USA Rural Development, this whole program is kind of precedented off of the Farmland Protection Agency from the federal government. This is a highly, they view farmland as a very important thing, and they protect it from associated costs. So that's kind of why those lateral restrictions are in place, is they really don't like to see anything affect farmland as much as possible. So when we go through the submittal to rural development, we're also going through a full environmental report, which we submit directly to Ag and Markets for review and comments, and make sure that they are well aware of everything that's taking place.
So you contend that the lateral restrictions of the inappropriate subdivision of the agricultural land does not carry forward?
Not if there's an existing home there.
But if the property was a result of an inappropriate subdivision of agricultural land, is that land not lateral restricted forever and always?
George, I would have to talk to our municipal attorney or do a little bit more research on what an inappropriate subdivision of agricultural land is. I can only speak to the subdivision law of our town. And I'm not aware of any lots that were subdivided that went against our local subdivision law. Whoops, you're still muted.
All of McCall's lands, there was a subdivision of an active agricultural district or property. There should have been an announcement at the time of the auction. I think there may have been that those were lateral restricted properties. So I don't understand how a house can be built, petition for water services, and all of a sudden it can receive water.
My understanding is that when a new water district goes in, anything that exists currently at the formation of that district is not laterally restricted. We have many, many homes in this town where the homes are in the agricultural district, and many homes that were served with water 20 years ago when new lines went in that were in the water district. From all of my conversations, and I've spoken with directly with Bob Summers, who's kind of the guru on ag and markets law. Anything that I've heard, now I'm not claiming to be an encyclopedia here, but I've had lots of conversations about it. And my understanding is that at the formation of a water district, regardless of whether or not a home exists in the ag district, that home is not laterally restricted. If a new home was built in a new subdivision or an existing subdivision that's in the ag district, that would be laterally restricted after the water district is installed, under my understanding. Do you have any other questions or comments, George? Feel free.
Not at this time. I'll have to do a little more investigation. My reading is different than yours, but that doesn't mean
Well,
it's correct.
And if you have any more information, George, I'm always open to learning about this stuff. I try my hardest to learn all the details, and I feel like you could spend a lifetime and certainly not know it all. So, you know, I would appreciate if you have any information to pass along to me. I'm always trying to learn more about this. Thank you very much, George. Appreciate it. Is there anybody else who would like to?
Hey, Rob, I don't know if you can hear me. It's Tim Welch.
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Yeah. I guess I have a general question about the federal funding from rural development.
Yes.
Is there a real long turnaround for the funding as far as getting approved for it? And what are the qualifications for this district or the town to get that funding? And I guess, does anybody know the general odds of getting it? Because it seems like that's kind of a pretty important point economically.
It is very important. So the first thing is that you either need to go on the most recent, it's not the census, it's whatever they do in between census, where they come up with a townwide median income. But we have had a household income survey done in this district, and that put this district in the intermediate range of funding, that threshold for rural development, which lets us know what the potential funding would be. But again, like you said, you know, we have to get approved before we know for certain. John, 4 to 6 months is usually the.
I think we're going to see something much sooner than that. I would say probably within the range of 1 or 2 months once we get this application put in place. Not to say anything's a guarantee, but the Office of Rural Development calls engineers. They call, I've spoken with them, and they say what projects need water. They're in business to get water to residents. They enjoy their job to try to help people get water. So this district, based upon the income survey that was performed, we'll be using that in the application along with all the numbers that we prepared in the engineering report. Will get submitted to RD along with environmental report. Any marker that we see right now points to that this should be able to be something that can be obtained. It's rare that I've seen one rejected of this size and of this need. So again, nothing's 100%. I can't promise anything, but I can say at least all those boxes are checked that would assist to get this grant, at least some sort of commitment in the next month or two. I've submitted the report early on to Rural Development to kind of get that on their docket and in their head. And now we're putting the full application together along with all the environmental things. Some of these components might take a little longer. We do go through a seeker process, which takes about 2 months to go through. But we'll get everything that can be submitted ahead of time submitted and try to get some sort of commitment letter issued as fast as possible.
And I'll also point out that when you get a letter of conditions from Rural Development on the funding, that locks in the interest rate. So right now we're obviously at historically low interest rates. Once we get a commitment, if interest rates happen to go up after that, we would be locked in at this, historically low level, which also greatly helps when you think about projecting that interest rate out over 38 years.
I had just one more little question. Thanks for answering all that, and that cleared it up for me. In a normal year, when the state is giving out grants normally, can you match state and federal grants together for funding for districts, or can you only use one or the other?
John, I'm going to pass that over to you because you know this stuff a little bit better than me, and I don't want to mess it up.
On the current project that we're working with right now for the tank, that was Rural Development and state revolving fund money. Rural Development offered up the low interest rate loan, and I believe the state revolving fund is offering up some of the funds to help pay for a portion of that project. So it's not to say that that it hasn't happened. It just doesn't seem like it would qualify right now. And certainly, I mean, even from the last time, I wouldn't say it's common that it happens. I just say it has happened. We are looking into any available source, but I can say from the last time we came before the township with this project, the costs have all gone up. However, the amount I'm able to report to today has gone down because interest rates from the feds have gone down so low. I believe it was somewhere around $1,400 a year we proposed last time would be the cost. And due to recent upticks in how much it costs to put in water main, it could have been much worse, except Rural Development's giving really good loan rates right now. So a lot of this is predicated on getting that loan, but we will see. And we will, if there's anything out there, we certainly will look into seeing if the town can apply for it and if it will qualify. We go through all the check boxes and see what is plausible and what's not plausible. But unfortunately, without a crystal ball, I can't guess what the rates will be next year and if it makes sense to wait or go now. All I can say is right now we are in a better situation than we were in a few years back when the rates were much higher. So yes, you can get both. We will look into that, but I'm just saying from what I've seen this year, there's not a lot from the state level, but there is plenty from the federal, and it's as good as we've ever seen it.
Thank you. I've definitely noticed that state grants are really in the tank this year. Thank you for answering my questions.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, I guess I would just like to invite, if you have an opinion at this point in time based on what you've seen. I know we have some repeat visitors from last time, but if you have an opinion on whether or not you are in favor of exploring this further or absolutely against it, it would help us to understand, what the desire is in the area. I've spoken to some of you already. And if you're not comfortable saying that, that's perfectly all right as well.
I didn't understand your point just then.
I'm just doing like a straw poll, I guess, to see, you know, how many, if we have people that are vehemently against or desperately for at this point in time, you know, it helps us to understand if there's merit in moving forward with the process.
Well, you pretty much know my position. The extension of water lines into rural districts, into agricultural districts is inappropriate and should not be the part of the town board. Those were inappropriate. In other words, they were subdivided out of an active ag district at the time. Should have been notification given there will never be water lines or sewer lines connected to those properties. That's my understanding. I will look farther into it, but to impose $1,000 tax on every parcel in this district for 5 people or 10 people who made not well-informed decisions is inappropriate.
Understood. And just to state that, you know, for this to move forward through the petitioning process, you know, over 50% of the landowners would need to sign a petition in favor of this project. It's not simply the will of the town board. I just want to point that out so everybody understands the logistics of the formation process.
So we'll just call him tomorrow and tell him.
I can hear you, Kathy.
Okay, see, he can hear me.
We're full speed ahead, Rob.
Yeah, full speed.
Okay, thanks.
We're all good.
Rob, I would say Eric and I, we don't desperately need water, but we're certainly not against any of this either, from our point of view.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, if anybody, Becky, are
Rob, we are in desperate need of water.
okay, thank you.
Sorry, it took me a while to find the unmute.
No, I
I think I know by now.
It's kind of tricky, and depending on what device you're on, it's always a little bit different. So, okay, if nobody else has any further comments or questions before the board, I would like to thank everyone for attending tonight. Thank you for overcoming the technical hurdles. And once again, if you have anything that you want to talk to me about or ask in the future, you have my cell phone number. You can feel free to call anytime. The other board members' phone numbers are listed on the website. Our emails and mailing address for the town hall is there. We will respond regardless of which way you want to get a hold of us. And if you're speaking with neighbors who are having any trouble getting in touch and they would like to, just please let me know, and I'll go out of my way to you know, get in touch with people and talk with them. So with that part of the evening taken care of, I guess we'll move on to our organizational meeting.
We'd
Thank
like
you,
to
Rob.
thank you and the entire board for all your work and your gentleman there with all the information.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Rob. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Okay, I'm gonna mute just quickly. I've got to get my agenda for the organizational meeting. Sorry about that, folks. I forgot to print it off before it came up, so I'm trying to get it arranged on my screen properly so I can see it. Okay. I guess we don't need to technically open the meeting because we're in an open meeting right now, but we'll start the organizational portion of our show tonight. I see that we do have a quorum of board members. So when I call for a roll, I will call for ayes and opposed. If for some reason you're having trouble with your microphone, give me a wave or a thumbs up or a thumbs down or something, and we can address it as we go. We will take up the following resolutions to set up for calendar year 2021. I will make a motion that regular town board meetings will be held on the second Wednesday of the month at Town Hall at 7 p.m., except for the year-end meeting, which will be December 29th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Noting, of course, that, you know, COVID restrictions will still be in place, you know, as we go. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
So move.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Okay.
Aye.
The official depositories for town funds be appointed Five Star Bank, Citizens Bank, and Bank of Cast Isle. Is there a second to that motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. So move.
So guys, just to make
Aye.
it a little bit, is there any opposed? Just to try to make it move a little bit more smoothly, I am going to actually offer all of these motions. So after I get done offering the motion, if someone wants to second, and then we'll vote, it'll just keep it easier for all of us since we have a litany of them to go through. Want to approve the county contract for snow and ice removal and roadside mowing for 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Aye.
that was a vote in favor, Obi. He's on a lag.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, I'm gonna give you a little bit more time. I think your internet is lagging.
It is.
I will make the motion that mileage rate for town officials on town business will be 56.5 cents per mile. Is there a second?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Aye.
No, it's okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion passes. Approval of bonding for the supervisor, deputy supervisor, town clerk, deputy town clerk in the amount of $900,000. Court clerks, highway superintendent, and justices in the amount of $250,000. And direct that the undertaking be filed with the town clerk. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we got 3 on that. That'll count. Allow the supervisor 60 days to submit the annual report with an additional extension of 60 days if properly requested from the office of the state comptroller. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That was an affirmative. I will make the motion that we purchase stone, salt, crushed aggregate, sluice pipe, and oil at the county rate.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. I will make the motion to designate the Daily News as the official paper of notice.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I will make the motion that we pay the Pavilion Fire District in the amount of $219,978 for fire protection in the year of 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I will make the motion that we pay the library $70,852 for their operating budget in 2021.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. A motion to authorize the town supervisor to invest town monies in accordance with our investment policy.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Not that we're going to be making any money on an investment with these interest rates, but we'll do our best. Authorize the expenditure of $10,000 for the highway department for general repairs and capital improvement accounts without bids and prior board's approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
We'll set the date for board meetings. I'll just read these aloud quick. Town board meetings will be January 13th, February 10th, March 10th, April 14th, May 12th, June 9th, July 14th, August 11th, September 8th, October 13th, November 3rd, December 8th, and then the year-end meeting on December 29th at 6:30 p.m. This is a list of regularly monthly meetings scheduled on the second Wednesday of each month. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Make the motion that planning board meetings will be the third Wednesday of the month. That would be January 20th, February 17th, March 17th, April 21st, May 19th, June 16th. That would be July 21st, August 18th, September 15th, October 20th, November 17th, and December 15th. All meetings will start at 7 p.m. and held at Town Hall unless noted due to COVID restrictions. Is there a second?
Second.
Aye.
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 Okay. We will set pay periods as follows. Bi-weekly will be MEO, highway laborers, highway superintendent, assessor, financial clerk, library clerks, and library manager, supervisor, budget director, council people, justices, town clerk, zoning officer, refuse laborers, court clerks, and deputy supervisor. Quarterly will be planning board and zoning board members. Annually will be register of vital statistics and the deputy clerk.
Second.
It's the town clerk.
Yep, deputy town clerk. John seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Adopt a resolution that the town board of Town of Pavilion, Genesee County has reviewed and approves the procurement policy as is for 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Authorize the supervisor to pay claims for public utilities, postage, freight, and express charges and credit cards before they are audited.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
adopt a resolution to approve 13 holidays: New Year's Day, President's Day, Good Friday, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, the day after Thanksgiving, the day before Christmas, Christmas Day, and one floating holiday.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, number 19. Adopt a resolution that the town board of the town of Pavilion, Genesee County, New York, approves the following appointments for 2021. Contract with Mark Boylan to provide legal services for the town of Pavilion at an at-will independent contractor pursuant to the retainer agreement at the rate of $200 per hour. Jake Whiting as town prosecutor for the rate of $400 a month to retain Baldwin Business Services as the auditors of the town of Pavilion Court, to retain Baldwin Business Services as the accounting and payroll services for the town of Pavilion, to retain Catherine Warner and Lynette Beaumont as court clerks subject to control of the town justices, to retain Lisa Sauer as the planning board and zoning board secretary, to retain Dean Davis as the deputy town supervisor, to retain Tyler Shishke or appoint Tyler Shishke as the deputy highway superintendent. That one by law is Jamie's decision, and he called me earlier today to let me know he's out working the roads right now. To retain Lucinda Starr as a sewer bill clerk, to retain Lucinda Starr as the Register of Vital Statistics, to retain Sarah Kingdon as the Deputy Town Clerk, to retain the Town of Pavilion as zoning and code enforcement officials, floodplain manager and fire inspection, to retain the Town of Batavia and Leroy for assessment services. Cindy, do you have the names for the youth rec board member?
Liz Milligan is up.
Okay, Liz Milligan reappointed, term to expire 2024. John Tillotson on the Zoning Board of Appeals, term to expire 2024. Appoint Danielle Offhouse as a library trustee, term to expire 2024. And appoint, was it Liz Conway for, or was Don Brooks?
Danny Brooks.
Don Brooks as a planning board member, term to expire 2024. And that's the end of that motion. If somebody would like to second it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I will make a motion that the town board of the town of Pavilion, Genesee County, New York approves the official undertaking of municipal officials. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I will make a motion, the omnibus resolution that the town board of the town of Pavilion, Genesee County, New York authorizes the supervisor's approval of budget transfers which may result from the auditor's findings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a resolution to pay the town clerk health insurance in the amount of $217.50 a month.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make the motion that the town board of town of Pavilion, Genesee County approves the following wages for 2021. Town supervisor at $16,000 a year, deputy town supervisor at $2,000 a year, town council person, $3,800 a year each for a total of $15,200. Town justice number one, $9,380 a year, which includes $400 for administrative duties. And the second town justice making $8,980 a year. The town clerk making $18,000 a year. The town highway superintendent making $61,000 a year. The appointment wages are as follows: $5,000 a year for the budget director, $200 a year for the deputy town clerk, $500 a year for the registrar of vital statistics, $2,600 a year for the tax collector. The assessor is 5 hours a week. The contract was approved at the last meeting for those services with Town of Batavia. Personnel services, $5,500 a year. The sewer bill collector, $2,800 a year. Janitor at $15 an hour. Refuse laborers at minimum wage. Election worker on a short day. Well, all the election workers are set by Genesee County. Court clerk is $15 an hour. Mileage, as we said before, is 56.5 cents. The deputy highway superintendent is set forth in the contract. That is a 75 cents an hour. The MEO is set forth in the contract, and I can't tell you what that is from memory, but it is already set forth in the adopted contract.
Deputy supervisor will get 25.08 an hour and the MEOs will be 24.33.
Okay.
But some of our MEOs are new, so not all of them are going to get that.
Okay. Highway laborer is $13.70. The Board of Assessment Review chairman, $65. Board of Assessment Review members are $50. Planning Board chairperson, $600 a year. Planning Board members, $400 a year. ZBA chairman, $40 a meeting. Zoning ZBA members, $35 a meeting. We don't have a property maintenance code anymore. And that's the end of that resolution. Is there a second?
So move.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Set the return check fee for $35.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have one more resolution, if you will please bear with me. The governor, one moment, my apologies. I sent out the email earlier. The governor made it mandatory that folks are renewed on their star, and we are mandated to pass a resolution, which really makes very little sense to me that a governing board can be mandated to pass a resolution, but we are, and it helps out our residents, so I have no objection to it. But I will read the resolution aloud and then make that resolution. Whereas the town of Pavilion has been affected by the coronavirus, and whereas the town board recognizes by state law senior citizens receiving the RP 467 senior citizens exemption and persons receiving the RP 459 partial tax exemption for real property of persons with disabilities and limited incomes must review annually. And whereas the Honorable Andrew Cuomo, Governor of the State of New York, has signed Executive Order 202.83 to include subdivisions 7, 7A, and 8 of Section 459C of the Real Property Tax Law, and subdivisions 5, 5A, 5B, 5C, and 6 of Section 467 of the Real Property Tax Law, to the extent necessary to permit the governing body of an assessing unit to adopt a resolution directing the assessor to grant exemptions pursuant to such section on the 2021 assessment roll to all property owners who received that exemption on the 2020 assessment roll, thereby dispensing with the need for renewal applications from such persons, and further dispensing with the requirement that assessors to mail renewal applications to such persons. Providing, however, that the governing body may, at its option, include in such a resolution procedure by which the assessor may require a renewal application to be filed when he or she has reason to believe that an owner who qualified for the exemption on the 2020 assessment roll may have since changed his or her primary residence. Added that the owner to the deed or transferred the property to a new owner or have died. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Pavilion supports the decision and improves its enactment. I will make that motion. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are any opposed? Okay. That is all I have for the organizational meeting. Would any board members like to add anything further? Would anybody in attendance like to address the board with anything? All right. Then at 8:10, I will make a motion that we adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you very much, folks. Happy New Year, everybody. Please stay safe out there. Please be careful when we finally start getting winter. And I hope to see everybody at the regular board meeting next week. Thanks so much, folks. Have a good night.